and a crystal-clear map of my property lines, highlighting the fact that the entire lake, including its bed, up to that legally defined high water mark, was mine. No access would be granted. Any attempt to use Thorn Lake would be considered trespassing. We sent it certified mail, return receipt requested. The signature that came back was Victoria Sterling, the self-proclaimed, not yet elected president of the nascent Serenity Shores HOA. A brief, deceptive silence followed. Then, the bulldozers arrived. Not on my land, not yet, but so close the vibrations rattled the windows of my house, their roaring engines a constant affront to the valley's peace. They began clearing trees right up to my property line, a scar of raw earth replacing the familiar green. The dust was a choking miasma. And then Victoria Sterling herself made an appearance. An empress in a golf cart, her expression permanently pursed as if smelling something foul, probably the scent of anyone who didn't immediately bow to her imagined authority. "Mr. Thorne," she called out from my gate, her voice sharp enough to etch glass. "We need to discuss your unreasonable stance on the lake. Our residents are expecting waterfront amenities. It's in the brochures." I walked out and calmly informed her, "Ms. Sterling, it is not a waterfront amenity for your development. It is my private property. Your brochures are misleading, and that is your problem, not mine. This conversation is over. Please stay off my property." She huffed, but the real escalation had just begun. A few weeks later, a smear campaign began to ooze through local online forums, painting me as an eccentric recluse, an obstructionist hindering progress. Then came a frivolous legal complaint filed with the county, a baseless claim that my family's dam, maintained diligently for nearly a century, was suddenly an unsafe nuisance requiring independent assessment, a transparent ploy to either wrest control or bury me in legal fees. Mr. Finch dealt with it swiftly, but the message was clear. The final straw, the one that chilled me to the bone and ignited a cold fury, was finding subtle marks, fresh tool impressions, near the control mechanism of a secondary sluice gate. A small, rarely used one, but the intent was unmistakable. They weren't just posturing, they were testing, probing, perhaps even attempting to undermine the very heart of my control over Thorn Lake. The fight wasn't just coming, it had arrived. The faint scratches near the sluice gate, those subtle tool marks, were more than just a minor vandalism. They were a declaration. Apex developers and their puppet president, Victoria Sterling, weren't just content to harass from a distance with lawyers and lies. They were testing my defenses, probing for weakness, perhaps even contemplating a more direct assault on the integrity of Thorn Lake itself. That realization settled a cold, hard certainty in my gut. The polite letters and documented rights were merely the opening skirmishes. A war for Thorn Valley was truly upon me, and they had mistaken my quiet nature for capitulation. They were about to understand how deeply the roots of the Thorn family clung to this land, to this water. The construction of their 30 ill-conceived houses began in earnest, a brutal symphony of banging hammers, whining saws, and the incessant nerve-grating beeping of trucks backing up. They erupted from the scarred earth with astonishing,